This is Michael Popok. Look at my glasses. Look at the time. It's time for Legal AF After Dark. Georgia Democrats and the National Democratic Party are firing back in filing a new suit in Fulton County, Georgia. Yes, we're dragged back to Fulton County, Georgia to talk about election integrity because the state election board, now controlled by MAGA Trumpers, those that Donald Trump yelled out at a rally, were pit bulls for his victory. Does that sound like they're independent to you? They have changed the rules in the middle of the game about how votes are certified and counted at the precinct level in a state like Georgia. And the Democrats are not having it. They just filed a new lawsuit asking for emergency relief to get the rules back where they were and make sure all votes are counted and all votes are certified by the state mandated deadline after the election. And they got to do it now. They can't wait. The election is in less than 70 days. We follow it all. We analyze it all on Legal AF. Take a listen. I'm going to do this one. It's going to be like a hot take, like a version of a hot take talking about the new case that's just been filed in Georgia. I've got it right here in my hot little hands. Just got filed. Verification for petition for declaratory relief. What does it mean? There is, I feel like I'm telling a bedtime story. Must come from having a newborn. There's a state election board in Georgia. Every state's got one. And this one just got controlled and dominated, as appointed by Republicans. It's all MAGA. It's 3-2 MAGA. And they decided to get under the hood of the election laws and start screwing around with who can object to vote tallies and who can object to certification of election results in precincts and at the county level. And they tried to give, through new laws, they tried to give power to canvassing boards and election boards, a state election board, to do reasonable inquiries, look at all documents in order to, before a certification. Now look, on the books is a state mandated by its legislature, state mandated certification deadline. It is the Monday at 5 o'clock after the election. So 6 days after the election. And all the rest, there already is a safeguard about fraud in the election. It's called the courts. And the courts have always and will always be the place where if you want to contest the outcome of an election, like you're the losing candidate, you can file your contest with a judge, not some amateur vote counter who's just there as MAGA to try to figure out a way to throw sand in the gear of election counting, which is what is going to happen here. So the declaratory judgment means you're asking the court to declare something. And what you're asking the court here to declare is that they can't try to get involved with fraud. They can't undermine the contest rules to go to a court when you think there's fraud. And you can't undermine the deadline of certification by 5 o'clock the Monday after the election. Because Georgia, of course, is a battleground state. And anything that is a barrier to entry, a barrier to voting, a barrier to vote counting is just another version of voter suppression. That's all it is. Call it what you want. Whether you're doing it on the inbound or the outbound, it is voter suppression by no other name. The Republicans pride themselves on chanting, every vote will be counted. That's a lie. They don't want every vote counted. If they wanted every vote counted, they'd have extended hours for early voting. They'd have extended hours for mail-in voting. They'd have extended time for registration. They'd make it easy to register to vote. But that's not what MAGA states are doing. They're like, well, you say in your certification under penalty of perjury that you're an American citizen, but prove it. Pull out your passport. Pull out your birth certificate. Oh, you don't have that? Sorry, deadline's over. Can't vote. Right? This is a version of what has made companies billions of dollars in gift cards and coupons. They don't really want you to use all the money on the gift card. You know how much billions of dollars of unused gift card money gets used because they make you jump through all these hurdles and then you forget about the gift card in your nightstand? Same thing with coupons. We'll give you 2 for 1. We'll give you $10 back, but you got to go find the box and you got to get a pair of scissors and you got to cut out a zebra code. Then you got to stick it in an envelope and you got to mail it by the deadline. Oh, you were too late. Oh, you were too early. Oh, the zebra code was mangled. Sorry, no refund. Right? Same thing here. Make it hard. Make it so people have to wait in line from 7 in the morning until 7 at night in the heat, wherever their state is, so they don't really vote. And the Democrats have had it. And now everywhere that a state election board like this one, which Donald Trump in his own rally in Georgia called out favorably, 3 of the MAGA on the state election board now sued in this case by name and called them pit bulls for victory. Now, does that sound like an agnostic, independent group, independent, fair-minded group that's just looking to get to the bottom of certification? Or does that sound like a partisan bunch of hacks who are now in the employ of the Trump campaign to try to get him elected and steal another election? Well, Fulton County is going to be the subject of yet another fight for election integrity. The prosecution of Donald Trump and the others may be put on ice, waiting for the appellate courts to make their ruling about whether Fani Willis should have had a relationship with somebody in her office or not, whatever that means. But we have another case. We don't have a judge assigned to it yet. We don't think it's going to be Judge McAfee. He's really a criminal court judge, but it'll be another judge in Fulton County. We're not going to see the same actors again. We might see some of the same actors again. I would expect the state election board, even though it's been sued as a board, meaning the attorney general for that state usually takes over for that. But we'll see. We'll see who shows up as lawyers or amicus, friends of the court. You're going to see the usual suspects, all those kind of nutty MAGA lawyers showing up again back in Fulton County. But the Democrats had no choice, because 3 months before an election, 60, 70 days, whatever it is before an election, the other side is trying to change the rules. They'll let you vote, but they'll tell you who won. And that just can't be. So we're going to follow this case. It's in its infancy. There's going to be some sort of hearing. There's going to be some emergency briefing. But this has to go relatively fast because they want this ruling to impact the November election. So this judge has to give guidance. In order to do that, right after Labor Day, we're going to see briefing. We're going to see a hearing. We might see a mini trial. And then we're going to get a ruling. And then we're going to see appellate practice. It's going to be hard to get this done before November 5, but I don't think that's an excuse not to bring the suit because it's too hard. Because if Democrats didn't bring suits because they're too hard and prosecutors didn't bring cases because they're too hard, then we might as well just give up. We'll just give up on our criminal justice system as a primary pillar and foundation of our democracy. Welcome back. That's one clip of a longer podcast we call Legal AF. Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the MeidasTouch Network, where you can free subscribe and help them get to 3 million, maybe during a Legal AF episode before Labor Day, which is important because we're an independent network without outside investors. Nobody censors us. Nobody tells us what to say. We don't have outside investors. We're unplugged. We're unfiltered. Sometimes we're unhinged in defense of democracy and our constitutional republic. So if you like that kind of content, Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman-Agnifilo. Saturdays with my co-founder, Ben Meiselas. And then on Hot Takes, like this, about every hour on the MeidasTouch Network. So until my next Hot Take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.